This is part 3 of a series in which we will revisit all of the Star Trek movies from worst to best. You can find a link to the playlist with all of the entries in the description below. See, I like books. I like to read them, I like to write them. Sometimes I like to just sit and look at my bookshelf without actually taking anything off. Books are comforting to me. My favorite kind of books are fiction, specifically fantasy and sci-fi, more specifically sci-fi than fantasy. The reason for this is because these books aren't about people. Oh, okay, sometimes they are, but those are usually the fantasy and sci-fi books I don't like as much. No, more often these books are about the worlds with people in them. The Foundation books by Isaac Asimov are some of my favorites, and they have almost no common characters between them. I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy some 7 times in high school, and the companion Bible of Middle-earth, The Silmarillion, 3. Tolkien isn't a terrific writer, he's pretty dry, but the world he created for those books is completely unparalleled in literature. Books that give me a sense of world, a completeness of world, another time and place and a feel of history, are the books that sweep me away, that I'll read again and again. I'll spend hours delving into every nook and cranny of that world until I feel like I'm a part of it. Now, movies. Movies are short, bite-sized chunks of entertainment, similar in content to short prose and in some cases poetry. I like short stories and poetry. I also like movies, but only in a few specific instances can a short story or poem give me the sense of world that a book can impart. Typically, they just don't have the space. And I'm not talking about giving me characters that have a sense of knowing the world they live in. I'm talking about giving me a sense of knowing the world they live in. Don't tell me there's unrest in the government, put me in the chair of someone involved in that unrest. Show me the unrest, teach me about the origins of that unrest. If you can't do that, it won't seem real, and if it doesn't seem real, it detracts from the reality of the world. Some movies can do this very well. The Lord of the Rings trilogy and, to an extent, The Hobbit among them. Most movies don't. Most movies focus on characters and situations instead of worlds. This, like short stories and poetry, is an aspect of the medium, not a fault, but it's an important difference to understand. Now, I told you all that so I could tell you this. Star Trek III: The Search for Spock completely squandered a shot at greatness through creating a world. The movie isn't terrible, I've said this before. It's just boring. There's a few good character moments between Bones, Kirk, David, and Savick, but the moments where those actors imbued a little life into their characters were separated by wide swaths of dull that border on criminal in nature. The movie could have been saved by improving the character stories, sure, but delving into the world between those moments would also have, at least for me, removed the boredom and made the rest of the movie feel like a coherent package. The Excelsior is going to beat all of the Enterprise's speed records? Why was the Enterprise so fast to begin with? Tell me about that. I'm interested. Why is the Excelsior going to be faster? I'm really interested in that. I get that Scotty sabotaged the Excelsior, but how? Give me those technological insights. I'm interested. Then there's the Genesis planet. It's a freaking planet that we just made from a nebula. How cool is that? And holy cow, the scientist responsible for it is on the surface? Why isn't he completely enraptured with this world around him? I want to know details about the flora, about the geology, the geography, the atmosphere. Sure, it's Earth-like and conducive to life, but how? The Genesis device repurposes matter, it doesn't create it. Tell me about the material makeup of the Mutara Nebula the planet was created from. Tell me about tectonic instability. You've got an entire planet there created from fantastical technology. Tell me about it. I'm interested. Instead, we get no details, a series of happenings and slim character motivations followed by a really dull fight and the end of the movie. The world wasn't immersive. Sure, lots of movies are like that. The real tragedy here is that The Search for Spock could have been different. The lack of greatness is never so disappointing as the potential for greatness that was never realized. That was this movie, destined to be forever lost between 2 movies of a trilogy that did provide the immersion I wanted.